This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time for the rant with Barbara Rose Brooker. And before we get started, I just want everyone to know that on March 27th, a dream of Barbara's is really going to come to light. And so I want you all to check our website and check Facebook because on March 27th, Barbara and a crew of wonderful people are going to be bringing you agemarch.org 2021. And, it doesn't matter what age you are, you belong at the Age March. So, Barbara, thank you so much for starting this many years ago. And hopefully on March 27th, it will be the first of many more that we'll be doing virtually and in person.
Thank you, Karen, for that introduction and for letting me have my voice on the rant. And yes, Age March is worldwide and for all ages. And today we have a fabulous, glamorous guest, Denise Michaud. Now, Denise is an independent insurance broker, and she specializes in long-time care insurance planning for the last 28 years. This can apply to all of us, no matter what age we're at. This is extremely important because we're all aging every minute. And so age is for everybody. Let us all age together with long-term care planning. And she also, what I think is very interesting about Denise, she's young, she's 65. She also is a very beloved host of the grown-up division at the San Francisco Commonwealth Club, which is a very prestigious club where people from the Obamas to myself, an author, have spoken there and given programs. And Denise arranges the grown-up division, which I think is fabulous. So Denise, welcome today on the rant.
Thank you. And Karen, thank you so much. Yes, the Grown-Ups Forum, it's a forum where we bring up topics that would attract people who are age 50 and over. And we had, Barbara, you were on just very recently.
Yes.
And you bring star power. You brought Melissa Rivers and Julie Stern, which is a world-renowned TV producer. And so we had such a, it was just an overwhelming response to that program. And I'm very excited about your Age March coming up.
Thank you, Denise. Now, I want to know, as an 84-year-old woman who wants to be a movie star, and I don't think about the number. Believe me, I don't. Age March is not about the number. It's about who you are at any age and having purpose and dreams. But long-time care is very, very important because I do think, oh my God, what if I fall in my apartment or I have a stroke or something like that? Who's going to take care of me? How is this going to happen? We don't think about it, or we think it's too expensive. It's a cliche. Denise, tell me, how is it possible for everyone to have long-time care? And what does it mean to have long-time care?
So yes, and it's such an important thing. As a society, we tend to not plan too much ahead, and then things happen and it becomes a crisis. So it is so important to know the Department of Health Services says that once we hit 65 and over, we have a 70% chance of needing long-term care. So that means that you need help. Most people receive care at home, but it can be an assisted living facility or a nursing facility. And it basically means you need people to help you get up, get dressed, get around. Either they need to physically help you or just be nearby to make sure you're safe while you're doing these activities. So it is important to plan ahead, excuse me, whether you have insurance or not. It's important to have a game plan, in place. And I think the first step is really to talk to your family members and think about it yourself, is if something happened today where you needed that kind of assistance, what's going to happen? And where would you get the funds to pay for the care? What funds would use first and second and third, and maybe insurance would be an important part of that, to take some of the, burden off using your own money, and also burden off family members.
That's my
taking
next
care of you.
question,
Mhm.
Denise. What about insurance? Like, for example, a lot of us have Medicare, or I have Medicare and I have Blue Shield, or some people have others or don't have it all. How important is it before you can apply for long-term care to have insurance?
How important is it to say that one more time? How's it important?
How important is it first to have the insurance before you apply for long-term care?
How's it important to have the insurance before you need the care?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, some people buy the insurance in their 30s and 40s, and they might not need care until their 90s. And so people think, oh, why pay a premium for that long a period when I might not need it in my 90s or 80s? And the thing about insurance is, the younger you purchase it, the lower the cost, of course. And so the premium that you pay, let's say you pay a premium from 50 to 90, you've paid 40 years of premium, that actually is going to be less premium you've paid over 40 years than if you started at 70 to pay to 90.
I see.
So it's a lot. So whatever age you are, it's better to buy long-term care insurance at the younger age versus the next age.
Yes. So what happens if you're 80 or 70 and suddenly you say, oh my God, I don't have long-term care insurance?
Mm-hmm.
We call Denise. How do you help us?
Well, then we talk about your situation, what your what your objectives are, how you see yourself. If you need care, would you like to stay home or go to a facility? We talk about your financial situation, your family situation, if there's any family around. Not necessarily that the family would be there to provide the care day to day, but they would be available to maybe oversee the care, make sure that everything is going well for you. And then, of course, probably the most important thing is to talk about your health history. And the health history is going to determine, which companies we can look at, which companies might look at you most favorably, if any. And then we just do an analysis from there, evaluate different companies, what would be the best value for your money, and what would fit your objectives. It sounds complicated maybe, but it's not really. It's more of a conversation where I gather information and then can provide some options.
Is it a long process? Like, if I called you today, Denise, and said, oh my God, I haven't done my long-term care insurance. So from today on, would it be several months or?
Well, we would, talk about the situation again and all those variables, and that would probably take about an hour. And then I go kind of in the back and then do some numbers. I check, make sure that in terms of the health history, which companies we can look at, we compare companies, and then come back to you and talk about, based on what we talked about before, your objectives, health history, how much premium is okay for your budget. Then we look at some options. And usually when we look at some options and compare companies, it's pretty clear which company has the best value. And then also when we look at a range of coverages, range of premiums. And when we look at these ranges, usually you can say, oh, that's too much, no, I want more than that, and this is what I want, something like that. So we evaluate it. that way.
So,
It's not exact science, you know, it's more of a conversation.
so you work with people individually. And the other question too, do you have many clients who are like myself, suddenly coming to the party saying they're in their 80s and they're saying, oh my God, I need long-term care insurance now. In other words, is it too late or is it never too late to have?
Well, yes, sometimes it is too late. So for instance, if you were 90,
Mhm.
that risk would be so high for the insurance company that you know, it would cost more to have the insurance. And there isn't anything available at that age. Most of the policies, most of the companies will look at applications for people up to 80.
Mhm.
So if someone has turned 80, if they apply for insurance even like a month after their 80th birthday, we can backdate it and base the premium on age 79. So
Really?
really the age is 79, but we can go like 1 month after 80. So once you're in your 80s, over 80 and a month,
Mhm.
you have very limited options. There are some options, but it's limited.
Mhm.
And with insurance, you're looking for leverage. You know, you want to pay a little bit to get a whole lot if you need care. So because in your 80s, as great as you look, Barbara, you're a higher risk, okay, than someone
I
maybe.
am. I'm a high risk.
Maybe they're
Listen,
higher risk just because of age than someone who's 50, let's say, or
of
60.
course, of course. My son-in-law and my daughter, she's in her 50s and he's 63. They bought long-term care insurance a few years ago.
Mhm.
Thought, oh my God, but yet how smart they are to do that. So Denise, tell me, what is the name of your business so everyone can hear it and work with you, because you've been wonderful to work with as well.
Oh, thanks, Barbara. Well, I'm an independent broker, so I go by my name, Denise Michaud, but I do have a corporation, Michaud and Associates Incorporated. But people can find me at Denise LTC, L like long-term care, LTC, at yahoo.com. And I'm in the Bay Area, but I have licenses in many states in the country.
You know, Michelle, Denise, you brought up something very interesting
Mhm.
that a lot of people don't think about. And in addition to having the insurance, it's having that conversation with your family members,
Mhm.
because if they don't know what your desires are, they may make some snap decisions based on what they can afford if you don't have insurance. And
Exactly
I
right.
I know when my mother was told that because she had had 4 mini strokes, she couldn't drive anymore. We
Mm.
knew that she also had to move because where she lived, there was nobody really around her to help her.
Mhm.
And she went into independent living, but it was
Mhm.
associated with assisted living. And then there was also nursing care. So we looked at it as, if she's going to need it, she can transition. One of
Yes.
the things we didn't understand was how Medicaid can play a role depending where you're living, because not all of these facilities accept the form of Medicaid. Is that correct?
And you're talking Medicaid is state aid. So
Right,
when you
right.
don't have a lot of income or assets, yes, most assisted living facility, it does depend on the state that you're in, actually. Some states, the state, if you have limited income, limited assets, the state will pay for your care in an assisted living facility or a nursing home indefinitely. But some states, for instance, in California, it does not pay in assisted living facility. It does pay in a nursing home though. But again, you have to have limited income and assets, and you are dependent on the state. So the state to take care of you. And the issue is, because many people haven't planned ahead and they've used up a lot of their money, they become poor basically. And so they have to go on Medicaid, state aid. And so if they're living at home, for example, and they need to be in a facility for care and they're going to go on state aid, there may not be a bed available for them in their community, in their neighborhood, or their area.
Right.
So they might have to go several hours, maybe an hour or two away. For example, in California, in the Bay Area, there are, last time I checked, there are no beds available. They're all filled, Medicaid beds. So if someone in the Bay Area in California needed to go on Medicaid and had to go into a nursing home, because that's the only place they'd pay, they might have to be in Stockton or Santa Rosa, which is 3 hours away, 2 to 3 hours away drive, which is hard for the family,
Right.
to stay in touch. The most important thing I think that I've seen, and I've seen this with my own family, is to be near your family when you're
Yeah.
needing care, the most dependent in your life. You want to be around your family.
Yes, of course. I'm interested too, Denise, in how you became interested in this business, how you founded your business and why long-term care. When did you start this and why?
I think, when most people, what I found too is when you have a personal experience, you end up being an advocate for people. You want to make sure people are okay. And when I was 13, my grandmother we didn't know the term Alzheimer's at that point, but I'm pretty sure that's what she had. She had some form of dementia, but I'm pretty sure it was Alzheimer's. And my grandfather took care of her for 3 years. Then his health really went down the tubes. They moved in with our family. We had 6 kids, and my mother was pregnant with my sister. And so 7 kids with the grandparents. We turned the dining room into the bedroom. And so we, you just don't think much. You just take care of what you need to do. So we took care of my grandmother then for the next 7 years. And basically my life was going to school, coming back, feeding my baby sister, feeding my grandmother on the other side. And that's a pretty common scenario though.
Yes, you have a big family because you've mentioned your sister. How many sisters are
I
there?
have 4 sisters and 2 brothers.
And isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, so 7 kids and we're all actually good people. And nobody's in jail.
I think is wonderful. And that connects with long-term care. So that's why I think psychologically you wanted other people to have their care and have their families around. That must have driven you towards.
I really felt, without realizing it, after taking care of my grandmother, I wanted to make sure older people were okay when they were older. So
see, that's what it is.
Yeah.
What you just said is exactly what's so important is that older people will be taken care of and have their family around them. I don't think there's enough advertisement or importance fed into the channels about the importance of long-term care. I never really was that aware of it until now, when it's really, in a way, too late. Why is that? Why is long-term care? Oh, there's a few ads on the past few years on TV.
Yeah, there's not a lot of advertising. I understand that. And the thing is that the states, and California, for example, is the state with the most people over 50. And so the states, not only the states in the country, but other countries too, we're all aging. The whole world is aging.
Yes.
And it's an issue all over the world about how we're going to take care of older people, because we're living longer and something is bound to happen. And especially California is very concerned, because if people don't plan ahead, there's not enough money in Medicaid to take care of everybody. So people do have to plan ahead, either again with insurance. And I think the common strategy, for most people is to have, the plan would be to have use some of their own money to hire people, to have some insurance to, to have another income stream there to pay for care, and then to rely somewhat on family to just make sure so that they can visit, make a meal, maybe take them to the doctor, and just, to have some social fun time with the family, and to make sure that their care is correct, is okay.
Don't you think
That's
many of us as baby boomers
Mhm.
never thought of ourselves as getting old?
that's
Okay.
right.
We still don't.
No,
Right,
exactly.
Still
right.
don't. We
And
still don't. I don't, and yet I am older.
and I remember like you, Denise, my grandfather came to live with us.
Mhm,
He had been ill, and then my grandmother had a stroke and died. And
mhm.
as he was recovering, um, my mother's family said, "Hey, let Pops go live with you because you've got the youngest kids," thinking that would help him, and it did for a while. Uh,
Yeah.
and then he, woke up one day and just said, "I want to be with all my friends." And there was a Jewish home for seniors, and he chose on his own. That's where he wanted to go.
Oh,
And
wow.
back in the day, they didn't look anything like they do today. Okay. And
Yes.
as a young child, I was terrified to go in because people were
Oh,
lined up in the hallway,
oh, I
and
know.
having conversations. But he was happy, okay, because he
Mhm,
was amongst, his peers.
mhm.
But it was at that point I too said, I don't ever want to see that for my parents. I don't want to see that for myself. Um, and my parents didn't have long term insurance, but we knew as a family, somehow we will make this happen so that, you know, they don't end up as a ward of the state because I've seen what happens there. Um,
Yes. Mhm.
so for
Well,
many of us baby boomers, what do we do now?
yes, that's why really my age march I feel is so important because age
Mhm.
awareness is not out there. The only thing that's out there is anti-age culture, anti-wrinkle cream, anti this, anti that. I mean, listen, I'm all for products. I say that all the time. The turtlenecks over the gels and the scarves and the moisturizers and all that. I'm for whatever you feel you want to do. But the thing that really to me is so sad is the anti-age feeling and attitudes that our culture has. And that's why I'm hoping that Age March will promote a pro-age attitude and a pro-age culture. And this will lead to wanting, and not only wanting, knowing the importance of long-term care.
Yeah, I
Very
think
important.
we need to be positive for sure about aging and stay fit and healthy and all of that, but not, of course, ignore the fact that things can happen as we get older. We can live so much
Absolutely.
longer.
Ab-
And I think you're right. It's about the awareness of aging, but being positive about it and
Being
being,
positive. It's
yeah.
not a horrible thing to get long-term care. I think I internalize, like probably a lot of other people, long-term care. That means that I'm decrepit and old. And that message that we
Mm,
have internalized, it's systemic ageism, just like we have systemic racism. It's the same thing. So what we need, Denise, how do you think though we can change this where maybe in our 20s we're aware of, happy birthday to all of us. We're aging every minute. Some of us may be lucky enough to live to 100 or the 90s or the 80s or whatever, but we need care. So how do we get that message out, that positive message? Hey, long-term care is just part of living life
mm.
the best we can.
Yeah, and I
And
think
great.
throughout the ages, throughout each decade that we age, there's certain priorities that
Mhm.
happen, when you're in your 20s or maybe 30s, you might be getting married, maybe having kids. So that's a priority for, and to get insurance for life insurance to make sure the breadwinner, if that person passes away, the family's taken care of. So that's like a priority there. And maybe as you get older and establish in your business disability insurance, if something you're disabled, then that might be the priority, at that point. And then, yeah, like late 40s and 50s. And I see people actually in the early 50s, they're starting to think more seriously about the future, about retirement, and then they're seeing their parents turn a corner, in their health. And so they are perking up and looking into long-term care insurance in their 50s and 60s too.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
That's good to hear, because I think probably the reason so many people don't go for long-term care and life insurance and disability insurance, the protection of life, you can say, is because of the anti-age message in our culture. The fear of age, there's such a fear of age. And like Karen said, I think earlier, we don't think we're going to get older. And then suddenly we're here, or somebody falls. The lady up the street had a sudden fall, found herself with complications, and then in a place that she couldn't afford, and no one was visiting her, and then she passed. I mean, there isn't enough of, hey, part of living and breathing and enjoying life is protecting your life and your future as well.
Yep, having that sense of security. And I'm seeing that people are becoming more aware, like I said, just because we are living longer. And so the parents, if people who have that personal experience or see their parents or grandparents go through that situation, and then they say to themselves, oh, I want to make sure my situation is going to be different than that. Or if it's a good situation, they want it to be the same. So they want to make sure it's a positive experience.
Yes.
But I think you're right. It's, sometimes we just try to get through the day, every day. We just try to get through the day. But it is important to set aside some time to plan ahead.
Plan ahead. And what's interesting about you, Denise, is that you have this long-term care business, and you're emotionally invested in it, and you work with it, and you have lots of clients, but that you have this other world too of the Commonwealth Club, and booking interesting celebrities and people from all over the world for this grown-up division. Grown-up division meaning, are they people over 50?
Well, we're trying to attract people over 50, but believe it or not, I mean, that's the goal, and it's kind of a cute name, the Grown-ups Forum. But it actually is attracting people in their 20s and 30s, kind of techie people who are influenced by their grandparents. So I've talked with many of them. They're influenced by their grandparents, and they're trying to create new technology, new applications for their grandparents to make their grandparents' life easier. And so it's interesting, to see. It's actually attracts many ages for different reasons.
That's what's so interesting. So how does that apply? Well, you have the two worlds then that you're balancing. And
well, yeah, the Commonwealth Club is my volunteer work. So and kind of and it stretches me, to be to bring in to create programs, bring in speakers, and that's something that I want to do, as to develop myself too. But also because I'm in this basically aging market with my business, I hear from my own clients and people what are the issues that they want to hear about, what's important to them. And so I try to, bring those issues to the Commonwealth Club too. Not all serious things, but like your program was so fun. It was like everybody, we were all laughing, and it was just fun.
I loved it. But I love that you balance the two together and that you never give up. It seems like you're always open to new dreams and transitions. And I think that's important because that's long-term care too, to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we have to keep ourselves evolving and developing,
Evolving.
learning, right?
That's what's so exciting, I think, about your business of long-term care and then doing that. And I think that, for listeners out there, our audience, everybody should contact Denise. I've never pronounced your name right, though. It's
No, you do. You are like one
Michaud.
of the sons.
Michud.
AUD.
Michaud. And I think that everyone should contact her about long-term care. And at the same time, they should go to the San Francisco Commonwealth Club website and see the programs that are there. And
Yeah,
what
there's lots of programs. I mean,
lots of
many
programs.
forums.
And
Yeah.
what Denise is doing, I mean, it's amazing. It's really amazing because there is not ageism there. That's why I like the Commonwealth Club, because of the grown-up division. You can be 90 or 100 or 80. If you have something to say and you have a chance to go there. So Denise, it's so wonderful having you
Oh,
today.
thank you. It was such an honor to be asked to be on your program. I appreciate it. Very nice to meet you, Karen.
Same here. And again, I hope to have you on one of our newer shows
Okay.
because one of the things we're talking about is, we begin aging once
Mhm.
you're born, and we need to start planning ahead. Our parents have to plan for their children, and
Mhm.
children have to plan for their parents as well. So
True.
it's a continuum. And one of the things I'm loving about today's discussion, I'm in my 70s, you're in your 60s, Barbara's in her 80s, and yet we are all still evolving.
Right.
Of course.
We haven't stopped. And this is a message that everyone has to hear. You don't have to stop because you hit a certain birthday. You can
That's
keep
so
going.
true. Oh my gosh, that's so true.
Thank you for that, Karen, because that is so important. And that's really what the rant is about. You
Mhm.
don't stop, you just stay on your path of dreams and just keep making more. And I hope Denise will be back many times.
Absolutely.
And stay safe, Karen and Denise.
You too.
And everybody tune in on March 27th to Age March. It's on Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube, and all the channels. And go to agemarch.org for the details.
Absolutely.
And stay safe and stay on your path of dreams.
We'll see you all on March 27th. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.